Technology. Sometimes you feel like a nut, and sometimes your technology acts up. Alrighty, let's try this again. Welcome back. Where I last left off was talking about, essentially, throughout my healing journey, I found that I got excited. And this is natural. Let me know in the comments if you have gotten excited because you figured something out in your life and you wanted to share it with the world. You wanted to help others because it helped you. But you didn't realize, and we're all learning as we go, that not everybody wants to be fixed. Not everybody wants our help. In fact, it is your moral obligation to back away, to back off, to ask first. Are they open to it? Are they interested? Are they willing to receive your advice, your help, anything, your suggestion? Because if you don't ask prior to, then you're creating a divide, you're creating a rub. Because essentially the ego mind does not like to be told what to do. It does not appreciate others trying to control it, because that's what the mind does. The mind is the one in control. And for the people that haven't yet done the healing work, done the shadow work, acknowledged their beliefs, thoughts, and patterns of behavior, it becomes like, you're not the boss of me, like total ego bound. Because the ego, it's a clever, deceptive tool. It's supposed to be your servant, but in most cases, until you wake up and you master it, it's usually mastering you. The ego is there to serve you, but until you get a hold of it and control it, it will guide you, it will manipulate you, it will, in your best interest, of course. It's always in the best interest of keeping you out of harm's way, whether it be death or pain. The ego is there to protect you. You're not here to obliterate it. You're here to befriend it. But when you go around and you are so excited about what has worked for you, you never consider if everybody's at the same point in their lives as you are in yours. That just because something worked for you doesn't mean it's going to work for them. That just because you're excited, they're not necessarily going to be excited. Because when you change, that creates also another resistance in people, especially if they're not happy. Because misery loves company. So sometimes, and often it's the people closest to you, they see you so happy and they get even more resentful. Like, oh my gosh, how come they, and it's not always spoken, it's so subtle, it's below the surface. How come they get to be happy? I'm over here suffering and struggling. And in most cases, the ego will be more in the wanting to be right versus the choosing to be happy, letting the heart lead the way. And so instead of asking, hey, what did you do? I'd like some. They have to be in that place to ask. They have to be open to receive it. You can't assume that just because it worked for you, they're going to be excited for you too. Because at the same time, you're going through changes, there's something stirring in them because they're feeling the ripple effect, that either they will be open to it or they will be completely flippant resistant to it, to the point of I'm going to lose a friend. I have to keep them down with me, because that's similarly what happens. While you're rising up, others are feeling like you're leaving them behind. And even your suggestion that they do what you do is a threat to their ego and all they know. So although you willingly went out and you sought help and change and personal development, others around you aren't necessarily. And they're in their comfort zones. And when people are in their comfort zones, they're not going to grow. But at the same time, it's not your place to teach them, to tell them, unless they ask. So out of moral obligation, to kindness and love. Because what is love? What is love for you? Ooh, I mean, universal kick in the ass. Essentially, you're not loving them if you think you need to fix or change them. Maybe their struggle is beautiful. Maybe that's part of their path. Maybe that's part of their purpose. Because again, pain has purpose. In your pain lies your purpose. And you had to get to a certain pain point to seek out change in your life, right? Same thing for everyone around you that you see struggling. See the beauty in the struggle, because there was beauty in your struggle. And that through your struggle, it allowed you to make the changes necessary, because they were designed for you. All of your pain was designed for you, as is everyone else's for them. The moment you stop trying to fix everyone around you, you may realize it's something within you. Because when you're projecting outward to fix, there's something that you're neglecting within you that probably needs your attention too. Because we are teachers and students at the same time always. So while you may think you need to fix some aspect in another, it's most likely that something in you that you're seeing in them that you still are uncomfortable around and dislike about yourself. Sit with that for a moment. That could be a possibility. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. It's just something to reflect upon, because I know in my past, I saw how, great example, food. Food is a really big one too, because when you start challenging people in what they like, you start telling them they couldn't have their favorite food, now you're creating an enemy. Now you're creating conflict. Or even if you gave up that same food that they love, pasta, bread, all the glutinous stuff. This was what I went through. My dad, great example. You know, I wasn't telling him he shouldn't eat gluten, but I knew it would help. And it's not just food. A lot of it's mindset more than anything, because it's all addiction based. The mind is what gets addicted. And then the body becomes physiologically addicted as a result of the fact that the mind keeps feeding it, right? When you're in a mood, you reach for food. And usually it's a comfort food that reinforces your mood. That's how the cycle works. We self-sabotage all the time. If you're not mindful, if you don't slow down, then how are you ever going to see the patterns and connect the dots? And that's what I've had to do over the years. Recognizing that I trusted in the medical industry, plastic surgery, that these must have been safe to put breasts in my body. Foreign silicone objects. Because even the casing, even if you have saline, most likely you got some sort of a silicone shell around it. First ones I had were saline. Second pair that I have now, that I've taken out, because now I have none. They were the saline, no, first were saline, second were silicone gel. Turns out it was ruptured. It wasn't a ripple. And I'm grateful for that. We don't know what we don't know until we know it. How about that? Just be okay with that. Don't beat yourself up, and don't beat others up around you just because you figured it out. Well, they're going to figure it out eventually too, or not. But that's not up to you, unless they ask. When you offer something, you're implying they're not lovable unless they take your offer. Anytime you try to fix or help someone, you're implying they're not lovable as they are. You're implying they're broken and you're there to fix them. Now swallow that pill, because that's a humbleness kicking in the gut by the universe. Anytime you think you know better for another, you're essentially thinking on a lower level, very low vibration, they're not lovable unless they do this. Is that love? Because love is not unkind and choosy, isn't conditional. Love doesn't try to fix or help or suggest or give advice where it's not asked. Love is pure. Love is, I see you in all your beautiful mess. You're sweet, gorgeous, making mistakes, and making new choices and finding your way. I love everything about that. And I've learned to make peace with that, with myself and those around me more and more. Because now I realize, you know what? It's all beautiful. It's all love. It's a form of expression. It's a loving expression, but it's not a loving act or gesture to say, you know what you should really do? Because things like that, they immediately repel people. They push them away. Do you want to be repelled? Do you want to be rejected? Because even though they may reject what you're saying, what you're essentially doing is rejecting, which is the boomerang effect, and most people don't even get that. The moment you start offering your suggestion, you're already rejecting. Then you get upset that they reject what you're offering. Who's the real victim here? You or them? See the cycle? That's the law of attraction. That's the law of karma. That what you put out, you get back. That if you are putting out a rejection in the form of a loving gesture, as you should try to trick yourself and convince yourself, because that mind will tell you, but it's because I love them and I hate to see them struggle and I have their best interest at heart. I know, I've been there. I'm speaking from personal experience. The truth is you're rejecting them. You're not loving them. And then you wonder why they get upset with you and reject what you have to offer. It's because you weren't accepting of them as they were. You're implying they're broken and that in order to be loved, they have to follow your advice. They have to do what you say. Who the hell wants to be controlled like that? In this day and age, I don't think there's a person out there that likes that. And we got a lot of it running around. You need to do this to make me feel comfortable. That's narcissism at its finest. That is the arrogant ego saying, well, I thought I was being a friend by offering you this advice. I didn't fucking ask for it. What kind of friend does that shit? You know, sometimes friends do go to friends and say, listen, I'm witnessing you in a very toxic situation. I just want to offer what I'm observing. Ask them if they want to hear it first. Would you like to hear what I am witnessing and observing? Ask for permission first, because you giving unwarranted advice without permission is an invasion. It's an invasion of privacy. It's totally inhumane. And it certainly doesn't make you better than anybody else. In fact, if anything, makes you a tyrant. And nobody should have to change to make you feel better. If that's a problem, then you don't love that person, and maybe it's time to sever the ties. And there's a lot of us that we go through these learning experiences because it's very humbling to really truly learn what is love. Love is not conditional. Love is recognizing the person where they're at and honoring it. Not trying to fix them. Oh, but I just, I thought you could be better and you could do this. What the fuck? Excuse me. I'm gonna curse on this one, because when you were telling the person they could do better, how do you know they're not doing their best? Who the hell are you to decide? What makes you so self-righteous that because that's how you think, you assume, making an ass out of you and me, that other person needs your advice? What makes you so high on your horse? So why did this come up? It actually had a reason behind it. I'm pretty humble and honestly have no attachments. I plant seeds in my stories on Instagram and Facebook. I have no attachment to whether someone believes it or doesn't. And truly, why? Maybe I plant a seed and it makes the person go do some research. Great. Good for you. That's all I ever want to do, is inspire. Am I going to say you need to read this and believe it? No. It's just food for thought. Expand your mind. Isn't that what we're here to do? To be expansive, to consider all possibilities, to have an open mind, open dialogues, conversation. Like, don't shut people down. You want people to receive you openly? You need to openly receive others. But what we're seeing right now is the true breakdown, and actually to see what is really broken in most people's communication styles, and how people have an inability to think beyond their belief systems, their BS that they are addicted to. Because belief systems are our biggest addiction. The idea that you know it all and you've never questioned or confronted your beliefs, that is dogma, and that is arrogance. And that's your mind. That's the mind running the show. That is the ego. And it shows how strong it is and how unaware you are of it controlling and ruling over you. Because when you are emotional and become irrational and you freak out and act out, throw your temper tantrums, get caught up in conflict and fights with other people because they don't go along with your views, and then you turn around and unfriend them or do something so dramatic, all that is, it's just your ego getting you into trouble. Because the heart won't lead you astray. It's the head that gets in the way. Simple. So the reason I'm sharing this is because a friend reached out. Somebody I haven't talked to, hasn't checked in on me. An old colleague I used to know when I worked in Italy. Back in the days when we'd sit around and talk about shit. Some of it was drama, some of it was gossip. Person claims to be spiritual, okay, I have no judgment. But because I planted a seed about something, they sent me a satire comedy thing that was proof in their mind that what I was planting a seed for was wrong. And I was like, I have no attachment to it. It doesn't really interest me. But they proceeded to also passive-aggressively tell me how it was all my emotions. I have no emotional connection to it. I'm just like, hey, throwing it out there. How's that in my emotions? Because I didn't believe what they wanted me to believe, that they didn't change my mind. And the dialogue went back and forth. And this person claimed to be trying to help me see. And I was like, what the heck? And I was just very calm and tried to explain, I'm sorry, it's not my emotions. If it were my emotions, I'd be trying to defend myself. I'm not over here trying to defend myself. You can agree, you can disagree. What I do find funny is that most people can't have an open dialogue or conversation around stuff without having to be right. Where they turn around and friendships are ruined as a result of someone not getting their way. And just because someone doesn't believe what you believe, get over it. It's okay. That's what makes us human. We're all unique. We're allowed to have different views and opinions. God bless us. Thank God for being human. And this person proceeded to tell me, look deeper. There's growth in that for you. Or maybe there was growth for that person because they were projecting their shit onto me. And I was sitting here going, I'm good with my life. I'm over here enjoying everything. I'm grateful. I own all my shit. I didn't invite any of that. And that was part of what I was trying to also convey. At what point what made this person think that I was so broken that I need to be fixed? That because I didn't believe something, they needed to change my mind. And they admitted they were trying to change my mind. I said, what makes you think I need to change my mind? You're implying that I'm not likable, lovable? Oh, but I'm being a friend. They kept going back to, I was just being a friend. Trying to get you to see. And I'm over here going, no, that ego is a very clever, deceptive tool when it says stuff like that. When in reality, you're trying to change someone to conform to what you believe. So I don't believe the same thing. It's okay. I'm good with it. Why aren't you? And why does it mean that I'm not growing and that I'm not evolved enough and that I've been watching you over the years and you've evolved so much and, I just thought this was another opportunity. Who the fuck made you my guru and teacher? I didn't ask that. I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask you to reach out and think that you knew where I was in my evolution and my growth in life. You've been watching me? Really? Have you seen my videos? Because the truth of the matter is, you may see more growth if you see more of what I've been talking about. That I have no attachment to whether or not someone agrees with me or not. I can still love you. I can still honor and respect where you're at without getting mad and throw a temper tantrum. Because the truth is I don't have an emotional attachment to the so-called belief we were discussing. I was like, whatever. It may be true. It may not be true. I'm just planting seeds, trying to get people to kind of maybe do a little research instead of being used to being told and accepting instead of questioning. Because I was raised to question everything. I know what I know. I don't expect everybody to know what I know, and I don't expect everybody to experience what I've experienced, which is why I don't talk about everything and I don't try to put anything out there. Sometimes I'm like, people will figure it out on their own. It's not my place. So I was kind of like, okay. So I decided to make this video because it just reminded me of back when when I realized during my Beyond Addiction, the first time I took it before I became a facilitator. Addictions start in the head, and it's our BS. Our belief systems are our biggest addiction. In my mind, when I was going through the food transition, because I literally found that a lot of cleaning up my diet really made me so much less groggy, so much less constipated, skin, oh my gosh, like when I took the gluten and the dairy out of my body, I had no more body acne. I didn't have pus and stuff coming out of my skin and my chest and because I used to have a lot of chest and back acne, and I know now it was the gluten, because your body will try to expel, it will try to carry out the toxins, the things that your body knows does not belong, out of the body. And your skin is your largest living, breathing organ, so it will try to push it out through sweat, through pus, pimples, whatever, ingrown hairs. Then there's also when you develop phlegm. Phlegm is containing it so that you spit it out and get it out. And then you also have eyes, your tear. This gets out whatever gets into the eyes. Your tear ducts push it out. Pee and poop, your urinary tract and your out the anus. Like, that is how your body gets rid of stuff. Haven't you had a splinter? If you don't get the splinter out, your body will find its way to get it out. Whether it goes under the surface and it carries it through the bloodstream, or, it may find its way, like you just leave it alone a little bit. You put something on it to kind of like let it soften, or I think a little alcohol. I forgot what it was that I used last time. Anyway, it finds its way out. Your body's freaking amazing. Trust it. And your body will tell the truth when the mind is unable to glean it, because your body is all about kinesiology. When the body is out of alignment, it's showing that the mind is out of alignment. When you feel dis-ease in the body, it's because your mind is dissing the ease in the body. Any mistruth in the mind translates as a discomfort in the body. That's why they use kinesiology. So just like when you're around people that make you feel uneasy, you trust that, don't you? If you don't, then you're not trusting your truth. So if someone is uneasy because you come at them with information that you feel that they need, and they're trying to tell you, dude, bugger off, fuck off, whatever they're saying, it's not a rejection to you. What it is a reflection of you. Because you have just shown them that you are rejecting them, and they're trying to, in the mind, they're rejecting you back. So remember that everyone is a reflection of you. They're going to show you back what you're giving to them. If you are rejecting them or yourself, they will reject you back. It's a boomerang effect. If you can just be as aware of that right there, that's freaking huge in itself. That you're serving up you're not good enough to love because you need to do this. You're rejecting them from that. And then you're wondering why they're rejecting you. I mean, are you the victim or are they the victim? Who's victimizing who? So we need to mind our P's and Q's and really be honest. Be transparent with ourselves first more than anything. You can turn around and say you're being honest with somebody. Well, I'm just telling you the truth. Are you, or are you being unkind? Because even love knows how to be kind in telling truth. Or maybe it's not necessary to begin with. I love that one. Is it necessary? Is it kind? Is it relevant? Always ask yourself first. And test your body, because your body will tell you the truth. Is this going to win me friends and influence people? Is it going to bring more joy to my life and others? Am I going to uplift, inspire, support, and empower others with it? Maybe you don't want to necessarily go shouting from the rooftops to your fellow loved ones, but maybe you do a video like I've been doing for years. This is what's worked for me. I'm just sharing my personal experience. Back in the day when I used to work with Tom, he had this whole thing around, this is my opinion. And I looked at him, I'm like, honey, we're beyond opinions. I have personally experienced what I share. Opinions are like assholes and everybody's got one. Your opinion doesn't mean you've actually embodied it or even integrated or tried it. Personal experience is much more powerful than any opinion will ever do. An opinion, it's shallow. It only resides up here. It doesn't even mean that you have had any one-on-one interaction on whatever it is you have an opinion about. You giving a personal experience is a testimony to whether or not you've tried it and how that worked out for you. Because people want to hear about experience. They don't want to hear about your opinions, although we are living in a world of opinions right now. A world where, like I said, everybody's got one. Just like they're assholes, right? But opinions, what does that give you? What does that serve you? Well, so-and-so says this. Who gives a shit? None of your business either. Just like it's none of your business what someone thinks of you. Don't give your joy away. Don't give your energy away. Someone may not love you as you are. They have an opinion about you. But who cares? Does that change your life? And if it does, why? Why give that energy back to that person? If anything, the most important thing is that you are good with you. And you are true to you. Because when you're good to you and true to you, and you own all your shiz, all your ish is yours to own, it won't own you. And when someone comes at you and proceeds to try to tell you how you should be, or what you should do, or try to fix you, change you, give you advice, you can just smile and say, thank you. I appreciate it. If they keep being persistent, you can then maybe turn around and say, I appreciate your concern or whatever it is, but I really didn't ask for it. It's very humbling when someone says, I didn't ask for that. And it usually does cause tension because the person doesn't realize what they've done is caused conflict. To say that I didn't ask for it is also to put them in their spot, in their place, to recognize that it is a invasion of privacy. It is an invasion of your space. It is an invasion of your life. Like, we're not here to live for others in the sense that we live up to things that make them feel comfortable. And often when you are having to conform to make another feel comfortable, that usually puts you in your own discomfort. Love doesn't do that. Love doesn't make you feel uncomfortable for the sake of someone else's comfort. No, people who are unable to control themselves and work on themselves, those are the types of people that go around try to tell everybody around them how they should be. That's not a loving act. It's not a loving gesture. And you should not feel obliged to change just to give someone else comfort when it causes you discomfort. If you tap into your body's wisdom, it will always tell you the truth. Love is kind, love is patient, love is compassionate, and it doesn't ask you to change. Love sometimes gives you a kick in the ass, but it's usually in the right ways. And it's often when it's needed most, but we all have to find our way. So, tomorrow is my follow-up appointment. I'm excited. I'm in a good space in my life. I was reminded yesterday by what I dealt with in my banter back and forth with my so-called old colleague friend. I have no ill will towards anyone, and what I appreciated was I was reminded essentially of the old toxic environment that I used to work in, where people constantly tried to tell me how they could help me and and how I needed to work a certain way, even though I was doing perfectly fine the way I was, because people wanted to just have a thumb on me. They just wanted to control me. That's an old toxic environment that I no longer need to be in, and my friends would never put me in, because those who love me, they love me as I am whole. They honor my angel and my demon. They honor my yin and my yang, my masculine, my feminine, my truth and my false, and my dark and my light. Because those who know me most, those who are closest to me, they know I'm also humble, that I am receptive, that I give, and now I expect to receive. Because now that was my last lesson. Well, okay, I'm sure there's plenty more. But that was a huge one too, is me reminding myself that I don't have to always give to people just because. I mean, yes, I am naturally a giving person, but I'm much more discerning as to whether or not it's receptive. If it is being received, and it will be reciprocated in a loving, generous way. And sometimes that's just a smile and a thank you. Don't misread receptivity when it comes to giving and taking, or giving and receiving. If you don't feel in your body that it is well received when you give, you may need to rethink those who you are giving to. Sometimes it takes cutting others off for your own benefit, your own health, mental health, and physical health. Don't feel obligated. That's love too. Love doesn't feel obligated whatsoever. Love just does. And it does it for the sake of love. So if you have to force it because you love someone, that's not love either. And you have to have that honest conversation with yourself. And maybe even with the other person if it's time to sever the ties. But sometimes we do. We grow out of our relationships and our friendships, and it's okay. Just be grateful for all the beautiful experiences, lessons, and blessings that came out of them. Because there is so much in every experience, every love. I hope this message landed really well for people, because I got some dropped in nuggets as I was speaking. And the big one is, just never forget that when you think you're offering suggestion, advice, and fix, you're already rejecting the other person as unlovable. So when they come back at you and they reject what you offer, recognize that you're being reminded you rejected them first. That is so freaking good. It's like a lemonade. So with that said, I appreciate everybody tapping in, tuning in. And if this video tickled you, woke something up in you, gave you an aha! If just seeing me made you smile, inspired you some way, please give me a comment, hit the like button, share this video with somebody who could possibly use it for their better good and their upliftment. And because we're all going through something, and I hope to inspire, I'm always here to support, uplift you, and hopefully that empowers you. Because what I've done, you can do. If I can learn it, you can learn it. Everything is within you. Just don't be putting extra stuff in you either. Don't do unnecessary, like I can say that. I had to learn it from 23 years of having implants in. It is the craziest thing, and I'm just grateful they're out and that I'm healing. So tomorrow at 3 o'clock, pray that I get these crazy things taken out, because I'm done with anything, no more foreign objects in my body, So much love to all of you. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Tune in, check my videos out, and just, you be you. Love you first. You really want to know what love is? When you love yourself, everyone else is lovable. And when you can't love other people, it's just showing you what you're unable to love in yourself. Because what we reject in another is a rejection within. It's no such thing as going without you having been in. Because whatever's outside of you is a reflection within you. And you are more masterful and magical than you realize. So, have an amazing day, evening, wherever you are in the world. I love you.